Namandam, 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 namandam.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome and thank you for joining us today for today's Dharma service, either in person or virtually via Zoom. I am Mimi Bergstrom, and I will be serving as your MC. Assisting at the temple with technical support is the Zoom team of Darren and Lynn Katayama. Corinne Chong is our organist, and Bede Takioka will lead the singing. Please rise and let us start service with the Vandana and Tisarana. Please chant both the Pali and English parts together with Reverend Blayne. Those of you on Zoom, please be sure to have muted your mics.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namanda, Butsunamanda, 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 Butsunamanda.
Please remain standing for an aspiration which I will share with you. It's a verse from the hymn in praise of Buddha. Your radiant countenance is majestic, and your dignity is boundless. Radiant splendor such as yours has no equal. Namo Abhidhabutsu.
Namo Amitabha Butsu, 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 Namo Amitabha Butsu.
Please be seated. It is now time for the offering of incense. We invite all Sangha members in attendance to please come up and offer incense if you wish. Starting with the front rows and moving towards the back, please use both incense burners. Let us observe a moment of silent meditation.
Namandam, 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 namandam.
Reverend Blayne will now lead us in chanting the Sutra Sanbutsuge. Words can be found on page 47 of the Jodo Shinshu service book on the screen. Again, page 40 in the service book.
The Buddha of infinite light and life made vows to embrace all beings equally without exception. These vows promise to create a perfect world where no suffering or evil exists and guides us to supreme awakening. The Sambutsuge, or hymn in praise of the Buddha, is a poem from the larger Pure Land Sutra in which Amida Buddha, as Bodhisattva Dharmakara, praises his teacher and makes his 48 vows to establish the Pure Land of Enlightenment for the welfare and the happiness of all beings. We chant the words of the Buddha as a reminder of these great vows made to awaken all. The hymn in praise of Buddha, Sambutsuge. しし人道具無料祝君後内知恵人名公明一層神道大戦願がサブ在所稼働所持未分限脱不正上位解任所人尿税三昧知恵以上合成特部不行心安一切具具一切大安下死仏薬千億万無量大小修行語者具用一切死と諸仏不尿具道検証不薬異尿語者諸仏世界部不影無種節度公明師匠縁師匠語尿税精進異人難量量が差仏国土第一五種金明道場超絶国尿内音理無闘争ガト愛民道達一切十法来所心熱症状一等が国慶楽安穏古仏神妙善が心象骨願の非力少々欲十法生存知恵無下上領子孫知が信用軽量心死食毒中画行精進念寿不減ナマナムナ Namannabu, 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 namandabts, namandabts, namandabts.
Please rise for the singing of the Gatha, Homage to Buddha. Words can be found on page 68 in the Praises of the Buddha Gatha book and on the screen. Again, page 68 in the Gatha book.
When the sun at morn is rising, shedding round its glorious glow, we to Buddha duty render with our bodies bending low. When the golden orb rides higher, and at noonday floods the sky, we in praises of our Master raise our voices clear and high. When at evening flaming glory sinks the sun into the west, we give thanks and homage tender ere we too go to our rest. Well, it was a little soft this morning, so we're gonna do verse one more time. Okay, now that you got the melody, okay? Verse 1, Corinne. A little introduction. Okay, ready? Loud. When the sun at morn is rising, shedding round its glorious glow, we to Buddha duty render with our bodies bending low. Okay, a little better. Thank you.
You may be seated. Reverend Blayne will share today's Dharma message.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. So during meditation this morning, were you jamming along with the music outside? So, right, it's an opportunity, right, as we take a moment to pause, right, to kind of hear and to experience everything that's coming to us, right? But the question is, can we let it go? Yeah. And focus on the present moment at hand, right? So, but also thank you to Auntie Betty for holding us to task for singing the Buddha's praises. Thank you. So again, thank you for being here on this hopefully beautiful day. Maybe we'll have some sun as opposed to all the rain we've been having. But several people have asked over the past several weeks if I could explain a little bit more about our beautiful altar. And so today, let me begin by sharing about our gohonzon, right, or our object of reverence, which is Amida Buddha. So in the central altar here. Now, every Buddha temple has a principal object of reverence that is enshrined in the altar. In Jodo Shinshu, or this tradition, our temples have an image of Amida, the Buddha of all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion. That's enshrined. And we know from when former Bishop Eric Matsumoto came a few weeks ago for Father's Day, he shared about how special our Buddha image is, right? And having been carved from a piece of sandalwood that was harvested here in the forests above Kealakekua, right? So we got to also enjoy the original sandalwood image that was crafted in Japan from a block of sandalwood as well. And that was given to the office of the bishop by the Morimoto family. I know it was the very first time for many of us to see an image that close up, right? Because, from this vantage point, you can't really see, yeah? So, but to be able to kind of see an image like that up close was quite amazing, right? Quite remarkable, right? To see the delicate and the beautiful features, right, of Amida Buddha. In our tradition, the onaijing here, or the altar, right, represents the beauty and the activity of the Pure Land, or the realm of enlightenment. And the symbols depicted here all tell a story, a sacred story of this world of awakening that is manifested in our lives through the compassionate working of Amida Buddha. Even the sacred image of Amida Buddha itself is rich in symbolism and meaning. And so let me share some slides with you. Okay, so right in Jodo Shinshu, right, the image of the Buddha is always standing, as you can see here, right, to represent the dynamic activity of wisdom and compassion in our lives, right? Often we have seen Buddha images that are seated in meditation, right? That's kind of pretty common in people's gardens sometimes, right? But however, in Jodo Shinshu, right, we believe that the working of enlightenment is always present in our lives as a dynamic force, right? This is why the statue of the Buddha leans slightly forward. One foot is stepping slightly towards us, all to represent this working of wisdom and compassion that's coming to us, right? So dynamic wisdom, dynamic compassion is not static, is not seated, but is standing and is active in our lives, right? So we can feel great love, we can feel great compassion, always embracing us, always sustaining and nurturing us throughout our journey through life. And so okay, here we go. So you'll notice, right, in the hands of Amida are formed into mudras, or sacred hand gestures, representing tranquility and protection, signifying the entry of Amida into the realm of sentient beings, into our world, for the purpose of teaching and effecting our enlightenment. Right? The thumb and index finger of both hands are joined to form a circle or a wheel of perfection, symbolizing how the Buddha Dharma, how the teachings are perfect and eternal, having neither beginning nor end. The right hand is raised to the shoulder level and the palm facing outwards, symbolizing wisdom, the attainment of perfect enlightenment, and the world of nirvana. The left hand hangs down with the palm facing outward, symbolizing compassion, the world of samsara, and the turning of all sentient beings to the truth of the Dharma, right? And so the raised hand also represents light, which is the Buddha's wisdom. And the hand that drops down represents the Buddha's compassion. This is why Amida is the Buddha of infinite light and life, or of all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion. Right? Wisdom to see, compassion to extend to us, right? on the Buddha's forehead, right, as you can see, there's a spot between the Buddha's eyes called the byakugo, which is said to be a tuft of white hair which is curled to the right. This is one of the 32 physical marks of a Buddha as we are taught in the stories, the sacred stories. And the byakugo is said to emit rays of light and is symbolic of the third eye or the spiritual eye, right? And so you also may have noticed that the Buddha has an oddly shaped head, right? None of us have that kind of head shaped like that, right? But this is called a Nikke, or bump of spiritual wisdom, right? And so, which is another one of the 32 marks of a Buddha, of an enlightened being, supposedly. And so you can see, right, the head kind of comes up and then comes up again, right? Kind of like a protuberance, right? And so now the next image, right, is of the Buddha stands on a lotus flower, right, on a dais or a throne shaped in the form of a lotus flower. And as we know, right, the lotus blossom grows in muddy water, right? And it rises out of the water to bloom beautifully, untarnished and unstained by that mud, right? And so this is why in Buddhism, the lotus flower is such a powerful reminder of enlightenment, right? Of that working, of rising out of our own mud, right? To bloom beautifully in the world of enlightenment and awakening. And so all Buddhas, right, are depicted either seated on a lotus or standing on a lotus flower or a lotus blossom to represent their full and perfect awakening. And so the next slide shows the kind of halo around the Buddha, right? So behind the statue and attached to the throne is the kohai, or the background of light, which is similar to a halo in Western religions. Now, two types of kohai are used. First is the kohai in the shape of a boat standing on end, right? So you can see that one on the left side. Now it's carved intricately with a lotus flower carved just behind the head of the Buddha. And the second most common form of the kohai is a half-boat shaped background topped by 48 spokes, radiating in a circle around the head of the Buddha. Now the spokes represent rays of light, and the number 48 represents the 48 vows made by Dharmakara Bodhisattva, by Amida Buddha as a Bodhisattva, who perfected them to become a Buddha. And so, did you know, this is probably pretty common, right? You've probably seen these images before. You might have an image like this at your home altar, perhaps, of a statue. But did you know that in Jodo Shinshu, our object of reverence, or the image of the Buddha, right, can take one of three forms. A standing statue of wood like this that we have in our altar. In our next slide, we can see a picture scroll, right, that may be most common in people's homes, right, home butsudan. Or sometimes the scroll has the characters of Namo Amida Butsu written on it. And so we can see this in our next slide. So Renyo Shonin, the 8th abbot of the Honganji, states that a painted picture of Amida is preferable to a statue, and that the written characters or the myogo, or name, is preferable to a painted picture. This is in recognition of our tendency to look upon Amida Buddha as a thing, or as a concrete thing. right, with definite form. However, the true Buddha, right, has no form, right, is colorless and formless. And the image of Amida, this image, right, helps us to encounter formless reality or timeless truth in a way that we can understand, right? And the image of the Myogo, or the name of the Buddha, of Namo Amida Butsu, as an object of reverence, always includes, as we can see here, a lotus flower underneath the characters of Namo Amida Butsu, right? And so this is to represent Amida Buddha as the name, right? Amida Buddha comes to us through the working of the name of Namo Amida Butsu in our lives. And so in this tradition, we often will see Namo Amida Butsu as the object of reverence because that is the activity of the Buddha in our lives, right? And so the lotus flower, right, represents that full awakening of the Buddha. And so the characters with the lotus flower, right, is Buddha for us as well. And so in the tradition, right, so way back when, in the early years, in the early days of the Shinshu tradition, the Honganji tradition, we didn't have temples, right? We didn't have grand structures. I think some people who went to Honzan or Nishi Honganji got to witness and experience this grand structure, this grand temple, right? But our tradition started much more humbly than that, right? In people's homes, where maybe a painted image or a scroll of the Myogo or the name was just put up with flowers and candles and incense in someone's living room, right? That was the tradition, right, of the Nembutsu. And especially in times when the Nembutsu followers were persecuted, right? And the Nembutsu path and this tradition was put down, right? And in hiding, right? It was easy to put up a scroll, right? And to take it down again and hide it and to put up again and to travel from place to place, right? It's said that Shinran himself wrote in his later years several scrolls, right, with Namo Amida Butsu or with some version of the name of the Buddha as an object of reverence and gave out to his disciples to be able to share these teachings, right? And so that's why these images are so special and so meaningful, right, to our lives. And so Dr. Alfred Bloom, the late Shin Buddhist scholar, discusses the symbol of Amida, of what Amida represents in this way. He says, when Buddhists speak of attaining Buddhahood or the Bodhisattva's return to the world to save beings, they are referring to the compassionate meaning of Buddhism. The goal is for all to become one with the saving power symbolized by Amida, the Buddha of infinite light and eternal life. The name Amida means infinite. Amida, infinite. The ultimate truth of our lives, the ultimate context of our lives. The reality of the Buddha's compassion becomes observable whenever life is enhanced, fulfilled, or conveyed to us through the deeds that are of friends. We see Amida whenever we see the healing powers of the body or creativity and growth in our life and the world. We experience it in the thrill of new life or the peculiar beauty in people and in nature. It is the interdependence, the totality of our relations that sustains life and enables our activities. Amida Buddha is the relation of all relations. It is the wonder that inspires us and awakens us to our own responsibility. The power of Amida, this interdependent life that we live, is realized when we take interdependence and mutuality seriously in our lives. The symbolic or mythic story is like a window through which we view the vast reality that embraces our lives and stirs our reverence and trust. Amida is, therefore, not a god, and the reverence expressed in our temples is really reverence for reality, an acknowledgement of the mystery of life itself. How remarkable we can experience this mystery of living, all within the beautiful image of the Buddha, of Amida Buddha. That life is continually unfolding and our awakening is made possible through the inconceivable working of enlightenment itself, which embraces us, never to forsake. So I hope this brief explanation deepens your appreciation and understanding of the significance of the Buddha's image in our lives and how it reflects back to us, right? The world of truth, the world that is eternal, and the world of awakening that is always present in our lives. And so, please join me in Gasho. And let's recite the Nembutsu together. Entrusting in the Buddha of all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion, we call Amida's name in gratitude, joy, and awareness. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Nammanda Butsu. Nammanda Butsu. Nammanda Butsu. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for your message, Reverend Blayne. John Sui will lead us in unison in the reading of the Four Noble Truths. Words can be found on the handouts and on the screen. Please join him in reciting the words out loud.
We're going to go a little slow because I'm slow. The Four Noble Truths: dukkha, difficulty. Dissatisfaction comes from not living in accord with the truth of impermanence and interdependence. Samudaya, arising. The delusion of self-importance expressed through greed and anger is the cause of dukkha. Nirodha, cessation. The transformation of greed, anger, and delusion is the cure for dukkha. Marga, path. The Sakyamuni Buddha taught the Eightfold Path as medicine for putting an end to dukkha. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We will now have the offertory presentation. Mahalo for your generosity, everyone. Please rise as we will conclude this service singing of the Gatha, Nembutsu.
Namandam, namandam. naman love, naman love, naman love, naman love, naman.
You may be seated. This concludes today's service. Here are some announcements. Upcoming schedule and service events reminders. Next Sunday, July 16th, regular Dharma family service will be held at 10 a.m. Important, save the date, July 22nd, for Kono's Hongonji Bon Dance and Craft Fair. Hatsubon service will be held at 4 p.m. and attendance is limited to Hatsubon families only who have lost a family member since Obon 2022. The Bon Dance and Craft Fair will follow from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Let's all gather for some fun dancing and Ono food while honoring our ancestors, supporting the vendors, and enjoying the festive occasion. An added feature will be the debut of our newly designed Bon Dance towel. It's one-of-a-kind design and unique to Kona. Mark your calendars and please join us. The success of our Bon Dance event depends on many hands working together. We really need your help, so please call our temple office to volunteer for any of the job openings. A list is included in Reverend Blayne's weekly email. There will be no Sunday service on July 23rd, so we can all rest and recover from Bon dancing. On Sunday, July 30th, we will be observing Obon family service at 10 a.m. Our in-person guest speaker will be Reverend Kerry Kiyohara from Makawao Hongonji on Maui. Reminders, Bon dance practices will be held at 7:30 p.m. every Monday and Thursday starting tomorrow, July 10th through July 20th. Be sure to open, read, and click on the attachments and interesting links that were included with Reverend Blayne's weekly update, which he emailed this past Friday. 2023 membership update forms have been mailed out and are also attached to Reverend Blayne's email. Please be sure to complete and return them as soon as possible. Mahalo. Free COVID test kits are available as well as the 125th anniversary merchandise is also still available. Any other announcements, Reverend Blayne or anyone else?
Good morning. It's regarding Bon Dance and the help. This may not be in your newsletter or anything that went out, but the BWA is doing the Manju fundraiser this year. Instead of Hanamatsuri, we're doing it for Bon Dance, but we're not taking orders. It's just first come, first serve. But we do need help making them. So Thursday, the 20th, the night, 5 p.m., we're going to make ang balls and pre-measure ingredients like we normally do. So the more hands we get, the faster we can finish. 5 o'clock, hopefully we get out of here by 6, no later than 7. Then on Friday, we start at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we'll make manju. We're not going to make the thousands that we usually make, but it's, we're going to make a little bit more so we can sell it. So we need man, M-A-N, power also, not only women power, because those pans are kind of heavy, putting it in the oven and taking them out. So if we can have help, Zoomland, anyone out there not here today, if you could come and join us Thursday night, 5 o'clock, and help us, and really more so Friday, all day to help us. Hope we will probably be out of here like right after lunch, if we have enough hands on deck. 8 o'clock, Friday, the 21st. Okay. The other thing, did you hide it? At Bon Dance, and I think I put it in in my message, we're going to have lanterns. It's like floating lanterns, but we have no river, we have no ocean here, so we can't float this thing. I'm gonna have lanterns available like this, so you can write on it. Okay, we carry the memory of our loved ones in our heart always. Now, how about bringing those memories to Bon Dance, and then if we can write your memories of your loved ones and light up And your memories of your loved ones will light up our bone dance that night. So these will be placed, can be placed around the temple. We will designate certain areas, and then you can take them home after. So if you have children, grandchildren would like to write messages on it, you can do that. So they'll be, you can't tell because it's daytime, but you can see a lot of these around. And then we'll also have them, we can put them in the condo too. But yeah, we'll have these available for you to do. So just memory, the memory lanterns is what they're called. Okay. So this is, we'll have that here. We'll have pens, colored pens, whatever that you can write with. That'll all be available that you can use. That'll be on Bone Dance night. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much regarding lanterns. Thank you very much to Darren and Alan and Lynn for putting up the Obon lanterns that we have annually here in the temple to decorate and to beautify the altar and the temple during the Obon season. So you'll see the lanterns all month until after our Obon family service at the end of July. With our Obon family service, again, like last year and the previous years, you're invited to submit names of loved ones that you'd like to remember at the service, and we'll read those names at the service in memory of our loved ones and our ancestors. And so it should have gone out in your Jiho. I'm not sure if it's arrived yet in people's mailboxes, but please submit your names to the temple office, to Rama, and we will remember them during our Obon family service at the end of the month. Also, as Linda mentioned, we do need lots of hands and lots of hearts to come together to put on a successful Obon festival, right? And for our temple and for the community. And so in the newsletter and in my weekly updates, there are lists of kind of areas where we need volunteers and help. So please take a look when you have a chance, and please sign up. I do have copies of the sign up and the kind of the jobs that we need help with in the back, on the back table. So you just take one as if you need to see. So all your help is much appreciated. So thank you.
Those of you on Zoom may leave at any time. Those of you here in person, refreshments will be served in the conference room. Mahalo to Mildred Kaneko and Elaine Nakagawa and anyone else who brought goodies to share. Your attendance today is most sincerely appreciated. Please stay safe, and we hope to see you at future Sunday services. Thank you.
And great job to Mimi for being MC this morning again.